and welcome to Tiny Table Talk for The Challenge All-Stars Season 3, Episode 6. We had a fantastic episode this past week, and some things that I want to just discuss, hand out some gold stars, and go over some of your comments that you left on my review and recaps video. So, without further ado, let's start off with... After watching this episode multiple times and thinking about what to talk about in Tiny Table Talk, I really didn't want to do anything that had to talk about what happened in the actual episode. I would like to talk more about what is going to come because of the results from this past week's episode. What is the Treehouse Alliance now without Sylvia? Not saying that Sylvia was the glue, not saying that the whole treehouse is now dismantled. The treehouse is still going to be the treehouse, but I think with taking out such a strong player in Sylvia, who has won multiple times in the Authority, is now gone, what is the treehouse looking like now? The treehouse is mainly, I think, Kayla and Veronica, who are the tightest with each other, as they have a past history of playing on previous seasons with each other. Then we heard from Veronica, who was talking about Ronnie not really winning a whole lot. Listening to this episode and taking notes, it seems as though that they are keeping Ronnie at an arm's length. I think they're going to have to bring her in closer, but realistically, she hasn't won a whole lot in this game, and you really can't trust on Derek. If Derek wins into the Authority, he's going to fold like a lawn chair. Let's say he gets into the Authority with Kellyanne. He's not going to stand up and be like, well, I'm not going to say Kayla's name. I'm not going to say Veronica's name. He would never say that. He would just be like, well, it's your game. You're going to do what you're going to do. He's going to ride that fence. Yes, he's in the same room. Yes, he can consider himself in the Treehouse Alliance. I don't think you can trust Derek to go to bat for you if you're in the Treehouse Alliance. And I think what's really scary for the Treehouse Alliance is the new twist of players being able to call out whoever they want to go into the elimination. If I'm Veronica, I'm the most nervous because, say, Kayla does win into the next Authority and she throws in Kellyanne because of her throwing in Sylvia this past week's episode, well, you can't keep anybody safe, honestly. So Kellyanne is then going to take a shot and probably pick either Ronnie or Veronica. If she's going to go out, she's going to go out swinging against the numbers that are against her. Kayla is out her number one. She even said at the elimination, who am I going to hang out with? Who am I going to talk to in this game if Sylvia is gone? That vacates her number one spot opened. You know who else has the number one spot open? Is Jonna. With MJ out of this game, I think Jonna is in an actual stronger position than what she was with MJ in the game. If Jonna and MJ had made it deep into the game, possibly gone into the finals again with each other, if then it became a paired finals, they would pair up with each other and harm both of their games. Because let's be honest, that knee MJ was not lying about. I know what Brad was saying at the breakfast table. MJ was not lying about his bum knee. He was not feeling it. He could not run. He would have just been a lame duck in those finals. I think this opens the door to Jonna being a free agent to any side of the house. Not saying that Jonna wasn't in a good social standing with a lot of the players still left in this game, but Jonna is now open with her number one slot. Who wants to be my number one player in this game? I'll look out for you, you look out for me. Kellyanne thinks that she can trust Jonna. And then Jonna, throughout this whole season, and even at the beginning of this episode, was hanging out with Sylvia and Kayla, and we're chatting up and talking and having a good time. I wonder if this could be Jonna and Kayla kind of starting up a duo here. I mean, yes, Kayla says Jonna is a very strong competitor. I would like to take her out. And I mean, why wouldn't you? She is a strong competitor. She has some strong social ties. But if you put together who has won daily challenges on this season, Kayla and Jonna rank now at the top for the women's side, while Sylvia is taking a plane ride home. I honestly think that Veronica's time is running out. No matter who gets into the Authority, no matter who sends whom in, whether it is somebody like Nia or Kellyanne on the one side winning into power and sending in Veronica, Or Kellyanne and Nia being sent into the elimination, they're most likely going to call in Veronica, maybe Ronnie. I think that they have a better shot of being called down more so than, say, Kayla or Jonna. Really, I have to say that I was so happy when this episode had ended because it was getting sort of predictable with who was winning into the authority over and over and over again. Then there was this big alliance. Now with the new twists that were added, and then this episode just knocked it out of the park. I mean, everything clicked into place, and now the game has shifted, at least on the women's side. And so this is just making it a lot more entertaining, a lot more exciting as we move further into the season. I really enjoyed this episode. This was by far the best episode of the season so far, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Who's going to win into power next? Who's going to be now on the chopping block? MJ, the easy vote, is no longer there, and now the Treehouse is vulnerable. I think the possibilities are endless on who's going to be starting to crack into alliances with who's going to be starting to work against each other. I'm just excited. I'm really excited about what's going to happen later on in this game. Now it's time to hand out some gold stars from this past week's episode, and for the women, I'm going to hand out my gold star to Nia. Nia actually showed up in this episode, came to play. She got her code really quickly in the Stacked Daily Challenge. Unfortunately, she was unable to do the paddleboard. It seemed really difficult for her. And then, even when her name was called, not knowing that her name was going to be called, but having her name being called down to the elimination, really surprising, but she was calm, cool, and collected. She was able to ace this elimination to a T. Yes, she got some help from Jordan, but she still had to be in the elimination, doing it with the nerves, with being completely blindsided by being called out. But even then, she was able to do this maze, do it quicker than anybody else, and sink her ball in on one shot. Very impressive. I think this is the momentum that Nia needs to go into the next episode and possibly further into this game. For the guys' side, it was a little bit more difficult to really pinpoint who to give this gold star to. I guess I would have to give it to Derek for his performance this episode. In the Daily Challenge, he did not win, but he did get all the way to the final stage. I would say got third place. I think Jordan was way further into that puzzle than Derek was, but Derek did pretty well. He too was blindsided by MJ being called down to the elimination, and even though the last time he was in elimination did not work out well for him, he still stayed calm, cool, and collected. He did not freak out, even when he was missing over and over and over again to sink that ball into that mouse hole. And even when he had all those divots in front of his mouse hole, he was able to get that win. Not a huge fan of the celebration, but he still won. He has 4 stars. He has 4 stars, more than anybody else. But now let's read some comments from my Wednesday's review and recap. Now let's read some comments from my Wednesday's review and recap episode. And the first comment comes from D. Watts, who says, Nia looked terrified when she got called out, but she did so well. I'm happy that she finally has done something in this game. You and me both. I'm so happy that Nia was able to take care of business despite being blindsided, was able to step down into the elimination, take care of business. One shot wonder. Next up, we have a comment from Kelsey who says, everyone being amazed. I get it. I see what you did there. At the one shot wonder that is Nia. Glad her and Derek won. I was rooting for them so hard. Yes, exactly. And to be honest, anybody could have been going up against MJ and I would have rooted so hard against MJ. Like, he has been getting on my nerves this past couple of episodes. I mean, this whole season, realistically. I'm not a huge MJ fan, so when he was talking so much last episode and this episode, I was like, man, can we just send him home? He's got a bum knee. How long can he stay in this game? There's a comment here from Gold Rush who says, does anyone else get unbelievably annoyed whenever anyone in power gets quote-unquote annoyed or take it personal when someone on the bottom makes a move? Kellyanne was keeping it real with Sylvia, and Sylvia was upset by that. Maybe it's because I'm sick of the Big Brother Alliance who weaponize this mindset on the main show, but keep that soft stuff away from All Stars. I kind of got annoyed more so at Nehemiah at the end of this episode because when everybody was leaving the arena, he was like, did Kellyanne solve a problem or did she just make new targets? It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Kellyanne needed to take a shot and she took the shot she needed to take. She needed to take at least one person out of the Treehouse Alliance, and she took out one of the strongest members out of the Treehouse Alliance. No matter what, they were always going to be gunning after her. So I felt the same way. Sylvia was taking everything super personally. The same thing with Brad and MJ towards each other. I'm not mad at Nehemiah, but it's just the thought process of like, did Kellyanne solve a problem or did she make new targets? She always had a target on her. She needed to take a shot and she did. Next up, we have a comment from Vapatera who says, Sylvia's downfall and elimination was the most satisfying since Tori and Double Agents. The way she acted to Kellyanne was just rude and unnecessary. I thought so too. I mean, it's understandable to not like somebody. You're not going to get along with everybody and not everybody is going to like you, or you're not going to like everybody in the game. But there were some points in the confessionals where I was like, dang, like that is really, really rude, where it was just like, okay, this seems like way over the top. The next comment comes from Asha, who says, I didn't like Kellyanne in any previous season I've seen her in, but the Treehouse is doing an excellent job at making her seem extremely likable. LOL. I'm 100% wishing demise on the Treehouse squad, Derek included, because he blew it for himself in this episode. I normally root for him, but I was watching his win with a straight face. Was hoping for a spin plot, like Laurel being ridiculous with the tree elimination. I guess he's always sort of been a little braggy. I'm thinking back when he won against Joss and did a victory lap, but that one was hard fought, so it was understandable. This one, thank you. I'm so happy that you felt the same way. When I was going over it, I was like, I wonder if I'm the only one, because I know Derek is a fan favorite because he has the Challenge Mania podcast. He's very much in the Challenge universe, but I just did not like his win. I mean, I think back to like Jordan going an hour, or close to an hour with Darrell in the elimination, wins after a long, hard-fought battle, but he does not brag or run around doing victory laps. He goes over and helps out with Darrell. Yes, MJ was not injured in this elimination, but the way he just kept going over and over and over about winning this elimination when it was a maze and doing like a pool move, a billiards move, to get a ball into a mouse hole. It's not like he did something extravagant. Yes, he won. Yes, he deserves to celebrate, but I too thought it was over the top. But I am right there with you, and I'm so happy that somebody else felt the same way. Next up, we have a comment from Sylvia who says, I'm surprised no one from the Treehouse helped Ronnie to win even a little. She easily would have won if someone yelled to her to make sure she had all her puzzle pieces. I was thinking the same thing. It's just crazy to me that one, Veronica dropped the bag in the first phase. She was the second to her paddleboard and could not unlock her paddles. Even Jonna, who had 2 locks, was able to find her 2 codes, put them in correctly, and still make it through the first phase. So Veronica dropped the ball. So I don't know why she was like coming at Ronnie being like, we need Ronnie to win. I hope she can win something for once in this game. It's like, you couldn't even put a 4-digit code into a lock when you were the second one to a paddle. And then Ronnie dropped the bag when she was putting the puzzle together. She had one piece missing, and Kellyanne was able to do the puzzle twice before Jonna and Ronnie could do it once. I mean, Ronnie was right there. I mean, she was so close. One puzzle piece away from winning, and she just never looked down. It's actually really impressive that she did not look down once to find her piece when Kellyanne had to redo her tower a second time. Wow. The next comment comes from K&K Adventures. What's with Derek's headband? It looks like a huge bandage that you'd use for a head injury. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw him at the elimination, when I first watched this episode, I thought he had a head injury. It reminded me of when in All-Star Season 1, when Mark, I think, was going into the elimination, and Derek put on the headband and did the fake injury, not wanting to go up against him, and it was a huge joke. But it reminded me of that joke. It reminded me of that bit because it did. It looked like a huge bandage. I thought he was injured, and that's why MJ picked him. But yeah, it was definitely a weird choice. I don't think I remember Derek wearing any of those kind of headbands in his previous seasons. Brendo, who says the Wes and Nehemiah moment was absolutely sensational. It was the highlight for the episode for me, the funniest moment, and I really thought it was great. The next comment comes from Armand, who says, I respected Sylvia earlier in the season, but not a fan of her at all now. How do you have a major alliance that has been dominating pretty much the whole season and act nasty towards Kellyanne when she finally earns her power for revenge? If anything, Sylvia should have been more mad at herself because she had the opportunity to use her sabotage on Kellyanne but chose not to. The definition of a sore loser. I don't think I have to add any commentary to this comment. You nailed it right on the head. Sylvia and Veronica could have easily made it out of the first phase if she wanted to. Sylvia was the one that doubled back on her thinking of sabotaging Kellyanne to then switching it to Jonna, which made no difference. This is a golden comment, if I do say so myself. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you everybody who left a comment on my Wednesday's review and recap. Thank you so much. But that is it for this week's Tiny Table Talk. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you to everybody who was watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge All-Star content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.